Sea claims everything back in the end. Someone's old car. Not a lot left, is there? Probably a Ford that got stuck down here.
Bloody bluff where my final let out a rough on hands and knees through hellish thorns, calling deep through tangled stuff, deep through tangled stuff.
How you going? Welcome to Throwback Thursday. Today I'm telling you two short stories. One's about some wild bulls and the other one is about a stingray. A short-tail stingray, the large short-tail stingray. So the first yarn goes back to Abel Tasman National Park. When I was a little boy, my father used to work for the Parks Board, and I would have been 5 years of age, and Dad was over in Anapai with another bloke rounding up some wild bulls. And I was at home with my mum bored shitless, and I thought it'd be a good idea to help my dad out. So I knew that there was these wild bulls they were rounding up and they were going to shoot a few and try and just get rid of them out of the park because they were threatening tourists and they were also just dangerous being in there. And I figured I needed to have a weapon, so I went into Dad's workshop and I robbed his broom handle and I found a triangle of plywood and I nailed it to the broom handle, and that was going to be my weapon to kill a bull because I was a dumb 5-year-old that didn't know the logistics of just how strong a bull is. So I made up my weapon and set off. I was supposed to be at home, but I set off on the Anapai track, and it wasn't that long actually. I heard the sound of hooves and realised that the bulls were actually coming towards me, and I could hear my father laugh. And that was because what had happened on the track is a bull had just come straight towards him and he'd ducked out of the way and it had gone down the track and they hadn't shot it and it was coming straight towards me. I can remember having the sensation of shit's about to go down real big, and in my thinking, if I stuck the back of my spear into the ground and stuck it so the bull would run into it, he'd impale himself. That was pretty advanced thinking for a 5-year-old who pretty much had the IQ level of a frisbee back then. I was a dumb little kid, I'd do some dumb shit, but anyway, that was the idea. So I stuck my spear, the back of it into the ground and got ready to point where the bull was, and then suddenly shit got real, and there was this thing coming down on me at the race of like a speeding train, and I realised at the very last minute that my plan was not going to work. I was going to die. So at the very last minute or second, I jumped off the track over the side and the bull ran past with a couple of heifers behind her, or cows, whatever they were, I don't know, and shot past, and I was down there thinking, geez, that was pretty intense. And then my dad turned up with his mate, and then I'm down the side of the track, I'm looking around and put my head up and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, I come down to see you." And they picked up my spear and he goes, "What's this?" And I said, "Oh, I was going to spear a bull." And the two men started laughing at each other. And "Son, you are never going to spear a bull with that there." And that was my very first experience with a large beast. And that's the story, that's how it ends. Probably not that interesting to you guys, but it's part of my life. And back then it was a huge rush to have that happen. Just imagine if I'd stood my ground and tried to make happen what I was hoping would happen. I wouldn't be sitting here in Bruce Bay talking to this camera telling you this Throwback Thursday. I'd be fucking dead. Right, the other story, which isn't that interesting either, but my kids love it, particularly my daughter, because I scared the shit out of my kids, and it was another dumb thing I did, but I can't blame it on being a 5-year-old because I did this probably, 10, 12 years ago maybe. It was before I built the punt. I didn't have a boat. So I had this clever idea that I could put a set line out by using a giant tractor tube and rowing out on it. I thought I'll go out and I'll put it out there, and then I'll drop an anchor and I'll just, lay it out, and then I'll come back later on the day and I'll pick it up. So the theory was good. The first part went fantastically. I had my tractor tube and I actually folded it slightly in half and put a flat deck on it which I tied to so I could have my set line, and I placed all my set line out and run it out, and the wind blew me along and just streamed out beautifully. I went back to the beach, went home, cooked the kids lunch. That evening, probably about 5 o'clock, sort of gets dark around 6:30 that time of the, no, it would have been summer, it would have been a bit later, probably about 8, probably would have got dark back then. and went out there with the kids on the beach. I said, okay, I'm going to go out and bring the set line in, and I'll bring some fishing for you for dinner. So I paddled out there and picked it up, and straight away I knew there was something big on there because you could feel it tugging. And I started to pull it in, and there was a snapper, that big snapper, happy days, spiked it, could feel it tugging, and then suddenly the whole thing just took off, and like I grabbed it and I put a couple of turns on the board, and this thing started towing me around the bloody bay. And my daughter was panicking on the beach because she could see me going along. Dayla was like, what's going on with Dad? And what had happened was a very large short-tailed stingray had got hold of it, and it was circling, and it was like going up and down, and it was dragging the anchor and everything. And we ended up with a massive big tangle, and then it came straight towards me, and I could actually see its stinger, and I was like, if this thing stings me, or even if it stings the tube, I'll be stuffed. And I didn't want to cut it because I didn't want to lose all my gear and that, and I just didn't know what to do. I couldn't kill it, and it was just too big, and it was like scary as shit. And my daughter was panicking on the beach, and time was going by, and it was starting to now get dark, and I still wasn't coming in, and she could see her dad going back and forward, and she knew I was getting towed by something. She didn't know what it was, and I couldn't tell what was going on. I was going up and down and up and down, and eventually this thing came straight towards me. Like it was almost like it had worked out it was going to have me, came straight towards me, and as it went past, I got my knife ready to either attack it or something, and I managed to cut the string right by its hook, and it released the whole big mess. And then I had this huge big mess of a few snapper, some sharks, and a great big mess, and I was like trying to pull it all up. And now it was dark. By the time I got on, it was dark, and I was coming in on the dark, and I could only just, I could see the moonlight on the beach, and my kids were worried about what's going on with Dad, what's happened to him. And it just scared the crap out of him. Finally I got my big pile of shit on the beach and gave them all a hug, and we all live happily ever after. I'm going to tell you one more story. I wasn't going to, and I just remember this story, and I've written a song about it. And because this is another story where my kids, I put them in, it's actually my son, Yona, I put him in a bad situation. I wasn't a very good dad when I was younger with stuff. I used to do a lot of adventurous stuff, and I never used to account for what happened. Although in this particular one, he did have a radio with him. He's only a small boy. And back in the day, I used to have a dog called Chun and a dog called Stark. I don't know if I've told you this story, but I'll tell you again anyway. There's a song that goes with it, and I'll finish the video up with the song for you so you can listen to the actual song. It comes off my first CD, I think. I think it comes off the Quarry Tree CD. Right, we'll get to the story anyway. We have to go to Tapawera. We're up the back of, what's the name of the road? Not Kai Funks, it was Glen Ray Road. Up the back of Glen Ray, and I was with my son, and I had rope dog Stark, who was just the rope dog, and I had Chun, and I had a pup, and I had my son Yona. I had the old Toyota Land Cruiser. Cruising along, and I found this massive bore mark, like a serious good pig. To my mind it was a 200 plus pig. As it turned out later on, it went 200, but sorry, no, it went 190. In my brain it went 200 because a guy locally caught it after the story, but that's another story in itself. So anyway, Chun got onto it and he pulled it up, and I had the rope dog with me, and he had it pulled up right on this sort of bluffy area, and I was really dubious about letting my rope dog go, because if they went over the bluff it was a long way down. And as soon as I let the rope dog go, he broke the bail pretty much, because Chun would hit the back end and sit the pig down and bark at it, and Chun obviously grabbed on the pig, because you could hear the pigs, they're fighting a dog, and then you could hear the rope dog hit it, the big mastiff, and I thought, gotcha, and I started hoofing it up towards the hill, and I was literally only probably 20 metres from it, and I saw this massive pig, like you could just see this great big ass with a dog on each ear, and it was just like motoring towards the bluff, like straight towards it, and the dogs both had the brakes on, and this pig was going, and I got up there. I didn't even get a chance to grab it, and it just went straight over with both the dogs, and it was a drop, probably 10 metres I suppose, slab below on shingle, and I was like, and then bush. And I could actually hear everybody hit. I heard one dog yelp, which was Chun. I heard Stark they all hit the deck, and the pig. And I thought, far out. So I had to do a big wide circle to get down. I thought, someone's going to be dead. When I got down there, Chun was all groggy, and his head was going like this. There was a trail of blood where the pig had buggered off. But Stark, his whole back end was collapsed, and he wasn't walking properly at all. He just wasn't walking properly. He was stuffed. He was in a bad way. And I thought, shit, how am I going to get him out of here? My son was up on the hill on the truck, and I told him on the radio what's going on. I said, stay there, son, I'm not going to be able to carry this dog out, I'm going to have to go down. But he couldn't move. I thought, I'm going to have to put him down. So I didn't want Chun to see this, and what I do is I walk Chun down the hill a wee way, and I go back up to Stark to get him to put him down. But he dragged himself down the hill like on his front leg, so I went down the hill further, tied Chun up, went back up to Stark again, and he dragged himself more, and every time I went to get him, he dragged himself. I just didn't have the heart to shoot him, and I knew I should have, but I didn't. And something in my head said, don't put this dog down yet, his day's not done, you know. And as it turned out, I was right. So eventually I made a sort of a sling to carry him down, and you know, hours were going by. It was 5 hours by the time we got down to the bottom and to the farmhouse, because it was so slow going, and it was getting dark. And I met this guy called, I think his name was Gavin Pope, and if you're watching this, Gavin, thanks a lot, mate. We come to his farmhouse there in Tapawera. I told him the story, and he ran us all the way back up to the hill. By now my son, he was only, geez, he would have been 6 or 7, and he was crying, and he had the pup for company, and I'd been saying the radio, but I couldn't find it. And back in those days, we didn't have GPS, we had the old beep, beep, beep. So I got on the radio and we got the top. I said, hit the horn, son, let us know where you are. So we had the 2 dogs back in the truck, and we're driving through the forestry with Gavin back to my truck, and we could hear the in the background. That was my son hitting the horn. Finally we caught up to him, and he was in the truck pretty unhappy, and got everybody back to Richmond to the vet, and I took Rope Dog Stark in there, and the vet was Roger, bloody good vet. And Roger, he said to me, I think he's stuffed, mate. Anyway, the next morning I went back, and Roger said, it's a bloody miracle, you're not going to believe what happened, but Stark's just walking around. I think he had spinal impact, and with the anti-inflammatories it's all relaxed and the spines work properly again. And I was like, really? He says, yeah, well, maybe it's a miracle too, because miracles just sometimes happen. He's a very religious man, Roger, and a bloody good vet. Regardless, Stark, he was okay, and he went on to hunt. He was never a great pig dog, he was a big dumb old mastiff, but I liked him, and he became a pet after that. I'm pretty sure I've told this story before. I'm pretty sure I have. My memory's shit, but hope you enjoyed it anyway. Has a happy ending, and I'll leave you with a song called Bloody Bluff, and it's a story. Be good, can't be good, be careful. See ya later.
Cross down a bloody bluff where my final let out a rough. On hands and knees through hellish thorns, crawling deep through tangled stuff. Deep through tangled stuff. Rope Dog Stark made no whimper or bark as we both edged close to the black hairy mark. Before our scent gave us away, I released the giant Stark. With mastiff jaws engaged on bristle neck and finder firmly on one-ear kick, the prey chose to take the noble way over the bluff, taking the entire fray. A sickly silence cursed the hill, no birds singing, all quiet and still. 30 metres below, on rocky spill, 2 dogs lay dormant upon the fill. The black hairy prey dragged its hurt body away, while on rocky fill 2 dogs just lay. Finder with bloodied head and legs display, poor Rope Dog Stark, back legs working, nay. Licked my hand when I made his side. On seeing Stark, I wished on impact that he died, for his back legs were all in the wrong place, and gone was his dignity and pride. First pig hunting caper can sure throw some curveballs at you. I wasn't quite sure what the hell I was gonna do. Here's me 60 kg rope dog cripple on the mount. How the hell would I ever get him down?
so he'd never see me put poor Stark down. Swallowed hard with sadness down. Something drew me attention and I looked around. And then I looked down.
Down the bloody bluff road Stark, dragging his legs behind. His determined master face said, "Master, it's not yet my time. Master, it's not yet my time."
For 2 long hours that brave dog crawled down the gully and finally out. Now with a sling we made it to the farmhouse where Stark collapsed, whimpering out.
Down the bloody bluff road Stark, dragging his legs behind. His determined master face said, "Master, it's not yet my time. Master, it's not yet my time."
After 2 nights at the CRT vet, I got the call. Roger said miracles sometimes happening. He'd seen them all. Stark was standing and wagging his tail, walking on 4 legs, determined not to fail. Poor Stark.
Down the bloody bluff road Stark, dragging his legs behind. His determined master face said, "Master, it's not yet my time. Master, it's not yet my time."
No answers were given to this amazing recovery, and I cried tears of joy when Stark was returned to me.
Down the bloody bluff road Stark, dragging his legs behind. His determined master face said, "Master, it's not yet my time. Master, it's not yet my time. Master, it's not yet my time. Master, it's not yet my time."